The choice of journalism as a career, was that something that you had thought about for a long time? How did you end up going into that field?
I'd always wanted to be a writer. As a 14-year-old, I was writing plays. God knows, I hope they've disappeared. But my parents persuaded me in good middle-class fashion that I needed something to, quote, fall back on, close quotes, and that I should study law. And I did study law. And I worked as an article clerk in a huge law firm in Sydney, and I got admitted as a solicitor. But I'd seen enough of that life to realise that I didn't want to be fighting other people's battles, particularly because those battles were commercial and often very grim. I mean, I remember one afternoon carrying some books for one of the partners of this law firm up to Phillip Street, where all the barristers lived, and going to the chambers of one of the leading barristers in Sydney and sitting at the back and listening to him and the other lawyers present, working out how they could steal a bequest from Sydney University. And I'm sitting there thinking, do I really want this to be my life? And as I say, I was admitted as a solicitor. I practiced for a day, Larissa. I put in a good day's work. And on the Monday I left to do the traditional trip to Europe. And when I came back, it was as a would-be journalist. In those days, the fact that somebody with a law degree wanted to be a journalist was considered absolutely remarkable. There was apparently one other journalist in Australia that had a law degree, so I didn't have any trouble getting a job, and I was off.
It's so interesting to me that somebody with a strong sense of social justice, who understands from a very personal point of view the structural unfairness of laws, finds the legal profession is not the way to progress that agenda. I have to say that resonates with me somewhat as somebody who became a lawyer to change the world and now has moved into broadcasting and filmmaking and other forms of storytelling.
But is it true for you, as it is for me, that I'm still devoted to the notion of the law and the power of the law and what laws can do to reform society? I still, even after all this time, and you were kind enough to put the figure 50 on my career.
I didn't say how old you were, though.
Late 70s. I still, after all this time, I am arguing publicly for reform of law as a way to take Australia forward into a better place.
I am absolutely like you in that way. I still am engaged in legal practice. I run strategic litigation. I still have a very strong belief in the importance of the rule of law. So, yes, I think we both share that. But it's the thing about, as a person within that system, it feels like you can't necessarily make those changes the same way as you can when you hold a mirror to the system to get it to change the way it needs to change.
Yes, and the emergence in the last 10 or 15 years of the radical practitioner who makes strategic interventions into big public legal disputes, that's new and interesting and not always above criticism.